Sometimes, life closes a door so loudly that it shakes our heart. But what if that door wasn't meant for you? What if God was preparing a better path, one you couldn't imagine yet? This is the story of a young man who thought his life was falling apart, until he discovered that every disappointment was part of a divine plan. Daniel had always believed that hard work was the key to success. Every morning, he woke up before sunrise, walked to his small job at the workshop, and dreamed of building a better future for his family. But on a cold Monday morning, life shattered his routine. When he arrived at the workshop, the owner was waiting outside with a heavy look on his face. "Daniel, I'm sorry," he began softly. "We're closing the workshop. You no longer have a job." The words struck him like a stone. His heart tightened. His thoughts blurred. It felt as if the ground had been pulled from under his feet. For a moment, Daniel couldn't speak. He just stared at the closed door, the one he used to open every day with hope. "How am I going to take care of my mother?" he whispered to himself. He walked away slowly, each step heavier than the last. He didn't know it yet, but losing this job was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater, something only God could see. Daniel wandered through the dusty streets with no destination. The world around him felt loud. People talking, cars passing, shops opening. Yet inside his heart there was only silence. He reached the small hill outside his town, the place where he often went to think. He sat on the dry grass, lowered his head, and let out a deep breath. For the first time in years, he felt truly lost. "God, why now?" he murmured. "I worked hard. I tried my best. Why would you let this happen?" The wind blew softly, but no answer came. Only the rustling of the trees, dancing with the breeze. Daniel closed his eyes. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for success. He asked for strength. "Guide me," he whispered. "Show me where to go next. If you have a plan, help me trust it." As he opened his eyes, a strange peace settled over him. Not because he understood the situation, but because he felt, deep inside, that something bigger was beginning. He stood up slowly, unaware that his life was about to take a turn he never expected. A turn designed with wisdom far beyond his own. As Daniel walked back toward the town, still unsure of his future, he noticed an elderly man sitting alone by the side of the road. His clothes were simple, his sandals worn, and his white beard danced with the wind. But what caught Daniel's attention were the man's eyes, calm, deep, and peaceful. "You look troubled, son," the old man said gently as Daniel passed. Daniel hesitated, surprised. "Is it that obvious?" he replied with a faint smile. The man nodded. "Trouble is always written on the face of those who carry it alone." For a moment, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt all morning. Seen. He sat beside the old man. "I lost my job today," Daniel confessed. "And I don't know what to do next." The old man listened quietly, his hands resting on a wooden cane. Then he spoke words that made Daniel's heart pause. "Sometimes," he said softly, "God closes the door to the life you planned, so you can walk through the one He prepared for you." Daniel looked at him, puzzled but intrigued. "What do you mean?" The old man smiled. "You'll understand soon. But for now, walk forward with faith, not fear. Where you see loss, God sees direction. Daniel felt a warmth spread in his chest. For the first time since morning, hope flickered again. He had no idea who this man was. But he would soon discover that this meeting was not a coincidence. With the old man's words echoing in his mind, Daniel walked into town feeling lighter, though nothing in his situation had changed yet. He decided to step inside a small cafe he rarely visited. He had no money to buy anything, but he needed a place to gather his thoughts. As he quietly sat near the window, the owner, a kind woman named Mrs. Harper, approached him. "Daniel, you don't look well today," she said with concern. He tried to smile. "I've had a difficult morning." Mrs. Harper sat across from him and placed a warm cup of tea on the table. "This one is on the house," she said gently. "Now tell me what happened." Daniel explained everything: losing his job, worrying for his mother, meeting the strange old man on the road. When he finished, Mrs. Harper leaned back, thoughtful. "You know," she said slowly, "I've been looking for someone trustworthy to help in the cafe. Someone honest. Someone like you." Daniel blinked, surprised. "You're offering me a job?" "Yes," she smiled. "And it starts tomorrow. If you want it." Daniel felt something shift inside him. Not the full answer to his prayers, but a sign that he was not forgotten. Was this the door God was beginning to open? He didn't know yet, but it felt like the first small step of a much bigger plan. The next morning, Daniel arrived early at the cafe. The sky was still painted in pale orange, and the streets were quiet. He felt nervous, but also grateful. This new chance felt like a gift. Mrs. Harper greeted him warmly. "You're here early," she smiled. "That's a good sign." She showed him how to prepare the tables, clean the counter, and serve customers. Daniel listened carefully, wanting to prove himself worthy of the opportunity. As the hours passed, something unexpected happened. Customers liked him. They appreciated his polite words, his patience, and his smile. Things he never realized could be valuable. One elderly woman told Mrs. Harper, "Your new helper is wonderful. He makes this place feel peaceful." Daniel overheard her and felt a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time since losing his job, he felt useful again. He felt seen. He felt hopeful. But he didn't know that this little cafe would soon become the place where his entire destiny would change. Because someone was about to walk in. Someone who would open a door far bigger than the one he had lost. Around midday, the cafe grew busy. Daniel moved from table to table with calm focus, unaware that destiny was quietly stepping toward him. The doorbell rang. A tall man in an elegant navy suit walked in, carrying a small leather briefcase. His presence radiated confidence, sharp eyes, composed posture, and an air of quiet authority. He sat near the window, observing the room with a thoughtful expression. Daniel approached him politely. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I help you?" The man looked up, studying Daniel for a brief moment, long enough for Daniel to feel slightly nervous. "A cup of black coffee," he said. and a moment of your time afterwards, if you don't mind." Daniel nodded, unsure what that meant. When he returned with the coffee, the man gestured to the seat across from him. "Sit." Daniel obeyed, confused but curious. The man leaned forward. "I've been coming to this town for years," he said, "and I've never seen someone serve with such sincerity and patience. You treat people with respect. That is rare." Daniel blinked, surprised. "No one has ever told me that." "Well, someone should," the man replied. Then he placed his briefcase on the table, opened it slowly, and pulled out a document. "My name is Mr. Coleman," he said. "I run a training program for young employees in a large company, a program that transforms workers into leaders." He slid the document toward Daniel. "I want you to join us." Daniel stared at the paper, speechless. A new path. A new opportunity. A door he never even knew existed. Was this the plan God had been preparing all along? Daniel looked at the document as if it were a dream he wasn't allowed to touch. I don't understand," he finally said. "Why me? I'm just a simple worker. I don't have special skills." Mr. Coleman shook his head. "You have something far more valuable than technical skills," he replied. "You have character, integrity, calmness under pressure. The way you treat people shows leadership, real leadership." Daniel felt his heart beat faster. The offer was overwhelming. Was he truly capable of such a path? What would I have to do? Daniel asked quietly. Mr. Coleman smiled warmly. "Learn, grow, work with discipline, and trust the process. We teach everything, from management to communication, from responsibility to decision-making." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But the biggest requirement," he continued, "is faith in your own potential." Daniel's throat tightened. Just days ago, he had lost his job and felt like a failure. Now someone was telling him he could become a leader. "Take the night to think," Mr. Coleman said, standing up. "I'll return tomorrow for your answer." He placed a business card on the table and walked out of the cafe. Daniel sat there in silence, holding the card. A choice lay before him. Stay where he felt safe, or trust that God was leading him towards something greater. He looked up through the window, the sky slowly darkening. "God," he whispered, "if this is part of your plan, guide my heart." He didn't know it yet, but the decision he was about to make would shape the rest of his life. That evening, Daniel walked home slowly, the business card still in his hand. The sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and purple, but his mind was a storm of thoughts. When he arrived home, his mother noticed the unusual seriousness in his eyes. "Daniel, is everything all right?" she asked gently. He sat beside her and explained everything. Losing his job, meeting the old man, finding work at the cafe, and finally, the unexpected offer from Mr. Coleman. His mother listened without interrupting, her hands resting softly in her lap. When he finished, she smiled, the kind of smile only a mother can give. "My son," she said, "sometimes God takes away what we think we need, so He can give us what we truly need." Daniel lowered his eyes, absorbing her words. "I'm scared," he admitted. "What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail?" His mother took his hand. "Faith is not the absence of fear," she whispered. "It is walking forward despite the fear, believing that God walks with you." Her words were gentle, but they hit his soul with strength. That night, Daniel lay awake for hours. The house was silent, but his heart was loud. He thought of the old man's mysterious words. "Where you see loss, God sees direction." Slowly, Daniel sat up and whispered, "God, if this door is from you, give me courage to walk through it." For the first time, the fear in his heart began to fade, replaced by a quiet determination. By morning, he knew exactly what he would say to Mr. Coleman. A week later, Daniel arrived at the company's training center, a large glass building that looked powerful and intimidating. People in suits walked in and out with confidence, while Daniel stood there clutching his small bag, feeling like an outsider. "God, stay with me," he whispered before stepping inside. The lobby was bright and busy. A receptionist greeted him and directed him to the training hall on the 3rd floor. When he entered, he saw about 20 young men and women seated in rows, all appearing confident and prepared. Daniel swallowed hard and quietly took a seat in the back. A few minutes later, Mr. Coleman walked in. His presence filled the room. "Welcome," he said, his voice firm yet warm. "You are all chosen not because of your past, but because of your potential." Daniel straightened up, listening closely. "This program," Mr. Coleman continued, "will test your discipline, your character, and your ability to rise under pressure. Some of you will become supervisors, some managers, and a few, very few, may one day lead entire departments." The room fell silent. Everyone felt the weight of his words. Throughout the day, Daniel learned lessons he had never heard before. How to communicate with clarity, how to solve problems, how to stay calm in stressful situations, and most importantly, how to believe in himself. But even with all this, doubt whispered in his ear, "You're not like them. You don't belong here." Every time the thought returned, Daniel repeated quietly, "God brought me here. God will carry me through." By evening, he walked out of the building exhausted, yet strangely filled with hope. This was only the beginning. A transformation that would shape him in ways he could not yet imagine. Weeks passed, and Daniel grew stronger with every lesson. But the training was far from easy. One morning, Mr. Coleman entered the hall with a serious expression. "Today," he announced, "you will face your first major evaluation." The room tensed. You'll be divided into groups. Each team must solve a complex problem under pressure. Your ability to lead, communicate, and make decisions will determine your score. Daniel felt his heartbeat quicken. He was placed in a group with 4 strong, confident participants who already seemed like natural leaders. The task was complicated. Create a complete plan to rescue a struggling department in the company. From finance, to employees, to customer issues. All within 30 minutes. As soon as the timer started, the group erupted with voices. "We should cut costs first. No, focus on productivity. That's not realistic. You're not listening. Arguments filled the air. No one was cooperating. Everyone wanted to be the leader. Daniel stayed quiet at first, overwhelmed by the chaos. The old Daniel, the one full of doubt, began to echo in his mind. You don't belong here. You can't compete with them. His hands trembled slightly. But then, he remembered something. Where you see loss, God sees direction. Faith is walking forward despite fear. He took a deep breath. Everyone, Daniel said calmly, stop for a moment. To his surprise, they did. If we keep arguing, we'll fail. Let's divide the work. One person on finance, one on employee morale, one on customer relations. Then we combine the ideas. His voice was steady, soft, but firm. The group exchanged nervous glances, then nodded. In just minutes, the tension disappeared. Everyone started working efficiently. When time was up, the team presented one of the best plans of the day. Mr. Coleman looked at Daniel with quiet pride. You stepped up when leadership was needed, he said. That is what separates great leaders from ordinary ones. Daniel's heart filled with gratitude. He had faced fear, and he had won. But the greatest test was still ahead. By the end of the training program, every participant had changed, but none as deeply as Daniel. He had arrived with fear in his heart, unsure of his worth. Now he stood with quiet confidence, shaped by discipline, faith, and perseverance. On the final day, all trainees gathered in the large auditorium for the closing ceremony. Mr. Coleman stepped onto the stage, carrying a list of names. These individuals, he announced, have shown outstanding growth and character. They will be offered leadership positions within our company. Everyone held their breath. Name after name was called. But Daniel's wasn't. A knot formed in his stomach. For a moment, doubt returned. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I didn't deserve this. Then Mr. Coleman paused. There is one more name, he said, looking up from the papers. A trainee who demonstrated true leadership under pressure. Someone who lifted others, instead of lifting himself. Someone who turned fear into strength. He looked directly at Daniel. Daniel Miller, please come forward. The room erupted in applause. Daniel froze, shocked. His heart felt too big for his chest. As he walked to the stage, Mr. Coleman smiled. You earned this, he said. You didn't rise because of ambition. You rose because of humility and integrity. He handed Daniel a folder containing his offer. Assistant manager in one of the company's regional branches. Daniel had to blink several times to stop the tears. Just a few weeks ago, he had lost his job and felt like a failure. Now he stood on the stage of a major company, holding the beginning of a new future. He silently whispered, "Thank you, God, for the plan I didn't see." But destiny was not done with him yet. His greatest blessing was still on the way. Daniel began his new job at the regional branch with determination and gratitude. He arrived early every morning, treated everyone with kindness, and applied every lesson he had learned. Within weeks, his colleagues admired him. Within months, the team's performance improved dramatically under his guidance. But the greatest turning point came on a quiet afternoon. Daniel was reviewing reports in his office when an urgent knock echoed through the door. "Come in," he said. A young employee rushed in, panic on her face. "Sir, the system crashed. We can't access the client files, and a major presentation is in 1 hour." Other employees gathered behind her, worried and confused. Daniel stood up calmly. "Everyone listen," he said. "Panic won't fix anything. Let's divide tasks." He assigned roles quickly. One team checking the server, another preparing offline documents, and another contacting IT support. He stayed with them, guiding each step with steady confidence. Within 40 minutes, the system was restored, the files recovered, and the presentation prepared. The regional director, who had witnessed the entire situation, approached Daniel afterward. "I've never seen a crisis handled so smoothly," he said. "You kept everyone calm. You reminded me of someone." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Mr. Coleman," the director smiled. "You have the same leadership spirit." Daniel felt his heart warm with gratitude. Later that evening, as he walked to his car, he spotted a familiar figure standing near the entrance. The same old man he had met on the road, the one with wise eyes and a peaceful presence. Daniel approached slowly. What are you doing here?" The old man smiled gently. "I came to see how far your faith has taken you." Daniel's breath caught. "Was it you?" he asked. "Were you the one who pushed me toward this path?" The old man placed a hand on his shoulder. "Not me," he murmured. "God. I was only a reminder." As quietly as he had appeared months ago, the old man walked away and disappeared into the evening light. Daniel stood there, overwhelmed. His success wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was guidance. Divine guidance. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed replaying the old man's words, his gentle smile, and the timing of every event in his life. Losing his job, meeting the old man, finding the cafe, being invited to the training program, receiving the promotion, and now leading an entire department with confidence he never knew he had. Each moment, once painful or confusing, now fit together like pieces of a divine puzzle. The next morning, he visited the small hill where he had once sat in despair, asking God why everything was falling apart. He stood there quietly, letting the soft breeze brush against his face. "Back then," he whispered, "I thought I was losing everything." He looked at the horizon. "But now I see. I was being prepared." Daniel felt tears form, not of sadness, but of deep, overwhelming gratitude. He remembered his mother's words. Faith is walking forward despite fear. He remembered the old man's wisdom. Where you see loss, God sees direction. For the first time, he truly understood. Every closed door, every disappointment, every moment of loneliness had been guiding him toward something far greater than he could have imagined. He finally lifted his hands toward the sky. "Thank you, God," he said softly, "for loving me enough to redirect my life." As he walked down the hill, his heart felt lighter than ever. He was no longer the same young man who had lost his job. He was stronger, wiser, filled with faith. And destiny still held one more beautiful surprise for him. A month later, Daniel arrived at work like any other day. But something unexpected awaited him. As he stepped into his office, the regional director stood there with a proud smile. "Daniel," he said, "headquarters has been watching your progress. Your leadership, your calmness in crises, your attitude toward people. They're impressed." Daniel blinked, confused. "I'm just doing my best, sir." "That's exactly why they chose you." The director handed him a sealed envelope. "With immediate effect," he continued, "you are being promoted to Regional Operations Manager. You'll oversee multiple branches, mentor new leaders, and help shape the future of this company." Daniel froze. His vision blurred. He had started as a simple worker, lost his job, felt worthless, broke down on a hill, prayed for guidance. And now, he was rising higher than he ever dreamed. His hands trembled as he opened the envelope. But he wasn't trembling from fear. He was trembling from awe. He whispered softly, "God, this is your plan, not mine." That evening, on his way home, he passed by the little cafe where his new journey began. Mrs. Harper saw him through the window and waved joyfully. He entered, and she hugged him warmly. "I always knew God had something greater for you," she said. At that moment, Daniel finally understood the full lesson. Sometimes God breaks your plans before they break you. Sometimes He removes what you cling to give you what you truly deserve. Sometimes He closes doors to protect you from walking into places not meant for you. Leaving the cafe, Daniel felt a peace deeper than words. He looked up at the sky with gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, "for every closed door, because they led me to the right one." And just like that, the young man who once thought his life was ruined walked into a future brighter than anything he could have imagined. A future written by the one who knew his heart better than he did.